Good afternoon on what is a warm, bright and sunny day. It is Saturday the 27th of August. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And I've got a box to delve into. Now, I've already been into this box because there are some things in here that weren't for me. So I'll pass those on to the partner. But the first thing that is for me in here is this, or should I say that. You can't see it. Let's wrap it. And it's a history book. It is The War of Nerves by Martin Sixsmith. The Cold War, the story of a conflict fought on the battlefield of the human mind. Now, this was a book of the week on Radio 4, so I listened to it and I thought, I really ought to read the book. So here it is. Really enjoyed it, and Martin Sixsmith is a former journalist whose work I sort of like I've heard over the years. So more than any other conflict, the Cold War was fought on the battlefield of the human mind. And 30 years since the collapse of the Soviet Union, its legacy endures, not only in our politics, but in our thoughts and fears. Martin Sixsmith witnessed the end of the Cold War firsthand, reporting for the BBC from Moscow during the presidencies of Gorbachev and Yeltsin. In The War of Nerves, he draws on a vast array of archives and sources, as well as his own sources and experiences, to take us into the minds of those affected by the simmering tensions and paranoia on both sides of the Iron Curtain. In framing the Cold War from a psychological perspective, Sixsmith throws fresh light on the personalities of the leaders in East and West who presided over the conflict and on the events that come to define it, from the Yalta Conference and the Berlin airlift to the endgame of perestroika and Soviet implosion. And he uses personal testimony as well as art, music and literature to illuminate the lives of the unknown millions who were caught up in the conflict. This is a gripping analysis of the power of fear to shape history, and in today's uncertain times is more resonant than ever. So, this is a history of the Cold War, which many of us will have lived through the end of. I certainly did, and I certainly grew up living under the constant fear that we might have a nuclear exchange and everything would end as we knew it, with programs like TV series programs like Threads, and various government programs on how to act in the event of a nuclear war. And of course, when I was a teenager, certainly up to the time I was a teenager, I lived in a town within a stone's throw of the British Army's signals base, which had a signals tower on it, and so it's almost like a mini BT tower. And whenever the air raid warning siren went off, it was an unnerving thing, especially at night. So inside, so this really sort of explores, it from a greater perspective than obviously mine or out for most of ours, as you would expect for a history book. It's not sort of necessarily deep into the nature of and life as it was lived. So we start off with, after the preface, we get into individual or collective to national psyches, and this really kind of sums up the differences, obviously, between the Soviet Union, Russia, and the United States, one being valued over the other in each country. Two nations, two missions, and so on, and the differing points of view. It's illustrated. We have sort of essentially illustrations such as this cartoon piece and posters and so on. Even on a section here called "Kissing Stalin the Bum." If you've ever seen a film called Death of Stalin, you'll have some idea what it's like. That's played for comedy, and it's really funny, but it's also very dark. And then we have Churchill and Stalin and Avro, I'm not sure, at a meeting in Moscow. So it is illustrated rather than having all the photos sort of in one section. And Soviet wartime propaganda reflected the ephemeral united front of the Allies formed against the fascist beasts. There we go. So this is quite a dense book, and then we have things like the Stalin's guidance illuminates the future of our children. Basic standards of kind of propaganda for the period. Just posters and propaganda like this, showcasing what each side looked at the other like. Yeah. So essentially, this sort of book is you read this for pleasure, but again, it's a source material for games set during the. I would suggest it's sort of like games set during the period, whether that's Delta Green or Call of Cthulhu, the obvious choices. But it would also influence games of things like Twilight 2000 if you play in its classic period. But yeah, I definitely look forward to reading this if I can find the time. And if you can't find a copy of this, I mean, obviously, do track down the radio series. It's just essentially a book of the week, which was recorded on Radio 4. So that's The War of Nerves by Martin Sixsmith, which in our current times, as I suppose, with the actions of Putin's Russia, is probably quite relevant. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. If you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a parcel and a book or a game which I'll unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.